All right, welcome to 15.1, Solve Simple Quadratic and Cubic Equations. So we're going to use what we learned in the last unit in this unit, so we better review. The positive and negative square roots of 144 are 12 and negative 12 in any order. Do the rest of them. Square root of 51 is between the square roots of 49 and the square root of 64. It's between, right, 7 and 8, but it's really close to 7, right? It's only 2 away from 7 and 13 away from 64. So to the nearest whole number, we say it's approximately 7. To the nearest tenth, now we're really close to 7. So we're guessing 7.1 or 7.2, and we're checking our work. I'm going to start with 7.1. So that's 50.41. Let's see what 7.2 is. That's 51.84. So that's 84 hundredths away. This is only, right, this is 59 hundredths away. 41 hundredths plus 59 hundredths is 100, is 1. So this one is closer. It is approximately 7.1. Okay, so we've learned when you add 5 and subtract 5 to x, you get back to x. When you multiply x by 3, then divide it by 3, we usually write it like this though, right? We get right back to x. We also learned that if you square x and have the square root of it, those cancel each other out as long as we're going to assume x is a positive number for this. And so you get right back to x. So a quadratic equation is an equation in which the highest exponent is 2. So only one of those is a quadratic. Pick the right one. So this is a quadratic equation. We talked about this earlier with functions. We would have y equals x squared, and when we graphed it, it would be a parabola, like that, with arrows on the end. For quadratic functions, this is a quadratic equation. Both had x squared. So 2x squared equals 32, also a quadratic function. Not function, I apologize, equation. A function would be something like y equals. This one over here with x cubed is a cubic equation. And wherever we graphed cubic functions, and they made the bad share. Right? This is a cubic equation. So the one on the left is a quadratic, and the one on the right is a cubic, x cubed. We're primarily going to be solving quadratics, but we're going to do a few cubics at the end of the lesson. So x squared equals 25. Blank times blank equals 25. Pick numbers that could make that true. Well, obviously 5 makes it true, but there's another number that makes it true. Figure it out. The other number is negative 5, right? Because negative 5 times negative 5 is also positive 25. So to solve this equation, x could be negative 5 or 5 in either order. Just like there's 2 square roots, there are 2 solutions to that quadratic equation. Solve this one. Yes, both 9 and negative 9 make it true. Quadratic equations, not always, but typically have 2 answers. Now we're going to combine that with the rules of equations we already knew. We need to get x by itself, in this case x squared by itself. So how do we get rid of plus 5? Get rid of it the normal way you get rid of plus 5. That's right, you subtract 5 from both sides. And x squared equals 9. Let me rewrite this. X squared equals 9. Well, that means x equals 3 and negative 3. 3, right? 3 would make that equation true because 3 squared plus 5 equals 14. And negative 3 squared, as long as I put parentheses around the negative 3, negative 3 squared plus 5 also equals 14. There are two values of x that make that equation true and no others. Try that one. So be careful on this. Notice it's x squared. Don't forget the 2 there. But I get students who want to put a 2 on the answer. No, now it's x, right? It's blank times blank minus 3 equals 61. There's two numbers that go in that blank, right? You can put 2 8s or 2 negative 8s, right? You would multiply before you subtract to make that true. Now be careful here. The 9 and 40 are on the same side, so you just add them together, right? 7 times 7 is 49. Negative 7 times negative 7 is 49. Try this one. So what are the square roots of 0.25? We've done this. It's right, 0.5 and negative 0.5 equal x. Because 0.5 times 0.5, move the decimal twice, you get 0.25 or 25 hundredths. Same with negative 5 times negative 5. Here you subtract 2 and 25 hundredths from both sides. Square roots of 64 hundredths, 0.8 and negative 0.8. All right, so now you're going to have to round your answer to the nearest tenth. I wasn't lying. We're going to use what you just learned in the last unit. So 16 plus 25 is 41. So we need the positive and negative square roots. So let's write that down, please. We need x is going to be the positive and negative square roots of 41 because 16 plus 25 is 41. Well, the square root of 41 is between the square root of 36 and 49. So finish. So it's between 6 and 7. Slightly closer to 6 than it is to 7, right? So really the good guesses are 6.3 and 6.4. Pick one of those. That's pretty low, 6.3, right? We're not even at 40. I think that's going to be too low. I'm going to go with 6.4, but let's double check it. Oh, look at that. 40.96 is almost exactly. So we're going to say x is, right, is positive 6.4 or negative 6.4, and I shouldn't be using an equal sign anymore. It's approximate, right? We rounded it to the nearest tenth. And notice how you can write positive or negative square root of 41 there. Cubic equations, unlike quadratics, only have one answer. There's only one number that can go in there. Blank times blank times blank equals 8. This is a cubic equation. So it has to be 2. 2 times 2 times 2 is 4. So we would say x is 2. One answer in a cubic equation. So what's the one number that will make that true? hopefully we can see it's negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3, positive 9 times another negative 3, negative 27. So x equals negative 3. No two answers on the cubic. Be careful in the homework. Every time I give this homework, I get people on the cubics telling me it's negative 3 and positive 3. No, because that's only for quadratics, the ones that are x squared. All right, we did 216 in the last unit. For those, negative 6 times negative 6, positive 36, times another 6. Yeah, 36 times 6 is 216. So x here is negative 6, because that's the only way you get negative 216. So that's a quadratic. Both 1 and negative 1 make it true. That's a cubic. Blank times blank times blank equals negative 125. That's only going to have one answer, and that answer is negative 5. Oh, what better Easter egg to have than a picture of Mr. Ben when he was a kid searching for Easter eggs? Careful on this one, I almost did it wrong. It's not 0.15, I believe it's 1.5. Let's double check. 5 times 5 is 25. Step over 5 and 1. We need to move the decimal only 2 times to make 2.25. So we need 1.5 and negative 1.5 here, all right, for x. Yeah, I don't think we did that one before. X squared equals 8. That's not a perfect square. So x will be the positive and negative square roots of 8. But it has to round the square root of 8 to the nearest tenth. Right? Square root of 8 between the square root of 9 and the square root of 4. It's between 2 and 3. It's much closer to 3 than it is to 2. So we're thinking 2.8 or 2.9 here, right? Because we're close to 3. Let's do 2.8. That's 7.36. Well, that's a little low, so let's try 2.9. Is that right? 8 times, oh, I did it. Whoa, Mr. Ben did horrible there. 8 times 8 is 64. That's why I messed up. Oh, I added. Oh, my goodness. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 2 is 16. And 16 and 24. Now I'm doing better. 16. Oh my goodness, there it is. 8.04. It was 2.8. I added 8 and 8 instead of multiplying them. Bad mistake. Okay, so it's 8. So it's right. So the square root is those numbers there, 2.8 and negative 2.8. I will talk to you again tomorrow.